Hello friends, this is Budrich. It's a new episode of Let's Linux. I call this Dunst Notification Daemon Setup. And yeah, we're gonna install Dunst and set it up and really delve into all the obscure functionality that you can use this extremely cool little program that is called Dunst. So let's just get started. The first and foremost we should install Dunst. I have already done so, but if you have Arc, then you can search for it with Pacman like this. Dunst. And it's called Dunst. Just install this package. I think you also need this one. You probably already got it, but it's called libnotify. And I think these packages are named the same thing on, for example, Debian or Ubuntu with apt. But when you have both of them installed, you can test everything by just starting Dunst, typing Dunst like this, and then go to another terminal and hit noitfy-send, and then just a string. And just a string pops up in a notification, and this is what Dunst does. It displays these notifications, and right now it looks really ugly, and that's the default, the Dunst defaults. They aren't pretty, but you can customize it a lot, a whole lot, and we will look into all of it in this, and there will probably be more videos. Let me show you here. These are more or less the things that I would like to talk about with Dunst, so it's quite a lot. And we have already done here, installed Dunst. We have started Dunst. I should also mention that when Dunst is set up and everything, you probably want to launch it from xinit or something similar. Maybe i3 config also, like an exec always Dunst could work also. But I started from xinit Dunst in the background like this. But when you're setting it up, setting up Dunst and testing it and stuff, then you could use this method as well. Next up is, let's see, yeah, already had it there. You have man Dunst. The best documentation is in the manual. Let's do this also, hide that guy. Some common command line options here. You can add a alternative configuration file with the C option, and Dunst comes with a default configuration file that is usually located here, usr share dunst dunstrc. To change the configuration, copy this file to home folder.config/dunst/dunstrc and edit it accordingly. So let's start by doing that. I think I have it here in my history. Yeah. So I copy this file to my home folder config dunstrc with the F flag, so it will overwrite any existing dunstrc here in my config folder. Bing. And we can look at this file here. Here it is. And this part here, now I am at line 254 here. We will look at more or less all the options here in this. That's basically what this video will be about. But before we start, I would like to show you this urgency normal here. This is the normal notifications you get, and here you can customize the colors. For example, now if now Dunst isn't running, so let's run it here. Dunst, and then notify-send, just a string, and we see this, and it's this background color here, this blue one here. If I wanted to change this to, yeah, let's just do classic magenta test color, save it here, run this again. Of course, it doesn't change. You have to reload Dunst by killing the process. You can do it with Control C when you have executed it like this, or you have to do a kill command with dunst, and then reload it, dunst, and then noitfy-send. There. Now we can see our new color. But this is kind of tedious, especially when when we're going to test so many different options here. So I think I want to do this setup. I have prepared this script here, dtest. It's in my path. I want this script to, I want this script to restart dunst if it is running, and then execute a noitfy-send, and then I will bind this script to a key binding in i3, so I can just hit that to skip all these steps. So we do something like this: pidof dunst, and this will return the pid of dunst, dunst. But if dunst isn't running, then this will return nothing, and it will actually have the exit code false. But if this returns something, it's true, then we kill all dunst. Then we start dunst, so this will restart it. Or start it, if pid, yeah, you get it. And then we just do a noitfy-send here, and we can call this message 1. Save this. Let's test this. Dtest. Didn't work. I missed something. There's something weird with my autosaving. Okay, this works now. Let's bind this to a key binding, and if you have watched my previous videos, then you know that I have just created this key binding menu where I can actually add new key bindings just straight from this menu. I select the misc section here. We create a variable or a key binding, super plus, I think U is unoccupied. Execute dtest, and then enter. Okay, super U. Super U doesn't work. Yeah, now it works. I don't know. It's something with this saving stuff here. Okay, great. And now when it's bound to a hotkey, then it's very, very fast for me now to... or let's change it back to the default color here. I save the config, I hit super U, and we get the new config immediately. Really, really good. Let's start from the top. This is the global section. The config file, the dunstrc configuration file, have different sections. Global is by far the biggest section. It goes all the way down to here. Then you have some experimental section, you have the shortcuts section, and then these urgency stuff here and some other things. And if we look in the man page here, we can see that the configuration is divided into section in an ini-like format. The global section contains most general settings, blah blah blah. Any section that is not one of the Here, this was what I wanted to show you. Each configuration option in the global section can be overridden from the command line by adding a single dash in front of its name. For example, the font option can be overridden by running this. So you can basically, yeah, you can override more or less all the settings, at least everything in the global section from the command line, and that can be good to know. Let's start. Notify-send, done that, xnit, done that, documentation, test options. First option here is you can hard code a monitor where you want your notification to show up. If you have a different or a multi monitor setup, maybe you always want the notification at a certain monitor, then you can use this option for that. I only have one monitor, so I will not bother with it. You can also have it this way and have the notification show at the monitor where your mouse or keyboard were last active. So, but we will not fill with those options. This is one of the this is maybe the most whatever. It's an option that changes the geometry, and it's in this format: width, x, height, operator, x, operator, y. It works like this. Let's start with the width here first. Now it's 300. If I launch, it looks like this. If I change this to 560, and now you see it's much longer. With nothing special about that, but you can also set this to 0. And then it shrinks to fit the message. It's like auto width. And you can also remove width completely, and now it will span the whole screen, but it will still have this minus 30 here. Let's set this to 0 for now. Height, that is the number of notifications. The height, yeah, I think it will become clear if we do this. We add a couple of more here. Let's do this 2. Oops, and then we have 3, and we have 4, and we have 5, and we have 6. Now you see here it displays 4 notification, and the last one is like a message that there are 2 more. So I have to close. Yeah, and they auto they disappear by themselves. There's a timeout. We will look into that later. But that's what the height defines. So if I would set this to 1, then we would get this result. Just one box, and then I can cycle through them by closing them like this. And I close the notifications with this key binding here, defined in the shortcut section. Close is equal to control space, and I can close all with control shift space. Just so you know how I do that. And that is the height. Let's set this to 5. It doesn't matter so much for now. The next is the X position, the horizontal position. And if you have to specify either a negative or a positive number. So minus 30, that is what we have now, and that means that it shows up 30 pixels from the right side of the screen. If we would change this to a plus sign instead, now it's 30 pixels from the left side of the screen. And the same is with the Y position here, it's 20 pixels from the top of the screen. If I change it to a negative number, it's 20 pixels from the bottom of the screen. So this is how you position and change the size of the notification thing. I think I want something like this and this. Yeah, that's good, right? Or maybe we should put it down here, because I don't use this window so much. So that would mean minus 10 and minus 50, because it doesn't take the bars into account. It counts 50 pixels from the bottom of the screen, not from the top of the bottom bar here. So this will look like this. That's good. Indicate hidden. I think that is that last message that we see. The two more here. If we change this to no. Yeah, now we don't see those hidden, but we will see them when we close. And I guess that is something you would want, maybe not. Shrink width window, it's very similar to xero here. If we set this to yes, then this will become a minimum width or maximum width. If the content is smaller, could be fit in a smaller rectangle than 500 pixels wide, then it will shrink it. But if it's longer, then it will wrap the text. So this is like max width if shrink is set to true or shrink is set to yes. So now it should look just like before because it shrinks it. But if one string would be really, really long, then it would wrap it. I think we will see that later. You can also set the transparency if you have a compositor active, and I have Compton, as you know. So if we set this to, let's set it to 20, so we get the effect. You can see it's a bit transparent now. We can leave it at 20, even if it's a bit ugly. The height of the entire notification. Not 100% sure how this works. Let's set this to 500 and see how that looks. So that's each box then. Yeah, this increases the height of each notification item here. So it's I thought it was the whole box. But it says here that if the height is yeah, whatever, you can set the height there. Separator height, that is the, yeah, I think it's easiest to see if we just set the oversized value here. You see it's a separator between each of the items. This is vertical padding. Let's set that to 40. You can see a lot of padding top and bottom of each item. And you have the same horizontal padding, it adds horizontal padding. But it's still, I think this width here, that only takes into account the box without the padding. I think so. Then you have frame width, it's the outer border of the notification. So if we set that to 10, we get this. You can set the frame color. Sweden. And this option, I haven't gotten this working really. I don't really know how it works. But it would be interesting to get it working. This changes the color of the separator. But when I change this to, for example, foreground here, now it worked. But you see this top one is yellow, but the others have the foreground color. It's auto. How does that work? Then we get like a slight different shade of the background color. Anything else will be interpreted. I don't know if it means that I can write anything else like this. I don't know. Yeah, that also works. And we will just set like stupid options here just to see how it works. Urgency, sort by urgency. We will take this later, what that really means. idle threshold. This is kind of interesting. This means that if your mouse or keyboard is idle, meaning that you maybe are away from the computer, then the notifications will stay on screen. They will not auto disappear like this if they have been on the screen for more than 120 seconds. We can change that. We can change the font in this is Pango syntax, I think. So font name, then I think font style, and then the font size. So if we would change this to hack 12, we get a different font. I think I actually want to leave it at monospace 8 there for now. You will see soon. The spacing between lines. I think we need to add a multi-line message to see this. We can do a really dirty one here. At the number 1 here, we just continue. This will be a real line break in the message. You shouldn't do this, but just for testing. And then we can write just for testing. Now we see here 2 separate lines. I think this changes. Yeah. Now the line height is greater and the spacing between the lines is higher. So you can set this to whatever you want. Let's set it to 2. And now is when things are getting really interesting, because just as many other programs, Dunst supports Pango markup, and we looked at this in the last video with the i3 key binding menu that displays the items with 2 different colors like this. The key combination have a black background and white foreground, and the rest of the item have reversed colors. I achieved this with Pango markup, and the exact same syntax. Pango markup is available in Dunst too, and it's available in many other programs as well. This link here, I think I already have it in Pale Moon here, and this is the whole documentation for Pango markup. So it's no big deal to understand this. You can either use these tags, these direct tags, like B. It looks like, I think we can see it here. This, you can write the B tag like this, but you can also write the span tag that we used in URxvt there. So let's try this quickly. If we go into dtest here, and then we can have some fun here with the second message. Let's create a variable called message is equal to span, and then we can do font is equal to, and here it's important to use single quotes around the values of the attributes here. So span font, let's do hack here then. Hack 42, and then YOLO, you only live once, you know, /span, and then we create a message where we have this. So now this noitfy-send will contain, yeah, we could just have written it like this. We don't need the variable really, but whatever. Let's try this. And here we see that one of the messages have a different font and a much larger font size. And you can also change the colors here. Foreground equal, let's do it yellow, Sweden. And the foreground color is yellow. So you can do really nice things here, and you can have multiple fonts within one message by just adding more spans to different objects. Another thing is that you can actually use icon fonts like Font Awesome here, for example. So if I just paste in an icon here, even if it says hack here now, I think it will display the Font Awesome icon anyways, since it has a unique Unicode position in the Unicode table. So help, I need somebody. You see? And if we add text here outside of the span, kappa, that have a different. You get it? We will really exploit this function later. Just wanted to show you. But to have this working, you have to set markup to full. If you would like to, you can disable markup completely or strip the markup. But I recommend using full because it's fun. Then you have this part, format. And this is, I think the best way to describe it is with showing you the printf again, because it's basically the same thing. Let's create another one here after this first one. Message 1 is equal to printf. And remember from the last video I showed you what printf is about. If you haven't watched that, then let's make a short recap. The first argument to a printf command is a format string. For example, $s hello $2 no percentage %s, sorry, percentage %s, that means string. Then this is just text, and this means the second string. And the strings are arguments here, the rest of the arguments. So if we write first and then second, this will create a string with first as in place of this first string placeholder, you could think of this as. And this is the placeholder for the second string in the argument list, which is second. But it will also add this hello. So if we would do another one of these, and there we can see first, hello, second. And this format here in at this place, it also formats the notifications themselves, because you can, right now we have only sent one parameter here to notify-send, and that parameter will be the first placeholder here, meaning this. But if you send two placeholders or two strings, then they will have different positions here in the format. We can try this by adding one more. Let's add it here as a second message. Word 1, and then we can, the next argument can be word 2. So if I save here, test this, and now we can see word 1, and word 1 is actually a bit bold. Maybe I should increase the font size, at least this default font here. Let's make it 14. I think you can see that word 1 is bolder than word 2. And that is because the first word here is in between bold tags here, like this. Then there's a new line, and then the body, it calls this, but it is just the second string argument. And if we would add one more line break here, then we would get 2 line breaks in the output. And we could add any text here. Body. Now it looks like this. And now you can see it added body to all of them. But that's kind of uninteresting. But there are some cool stuff here. You have this %a. This isn't an argument that you get with noitfy-send. Or in one way it is. It will print the app name, the name of the app that sent the notification, because sometimes you get notifications from other programs, like for example Pale Moon might send a notification. I have a RSS reader called Newspot. Yeah, let's start it. It will probably send a notification when it have updated the database. So other programs might send notifications. And then it can be useful to know which application it was, and you can find out by adding either this to the format section here, or there are other actually better ways. And then you also have this icon name, which also can be interesting. So if I add that as well here. So now we have a summary, the first argument to noitfy-send, in bold, new line, and then the body, the second argument, then two new lines, and then it will print the app name and the icon name. So now it looks like this. And now you can see it's really it's too big for the screen even, because it's such a stupid format here. But noitfy-send is the app name of all of them here, and that is because it's noitfy-send who sends the messages. But you can actually customize this. Let's see which one we can see here. Yeah, we can change this help guy here. If you add the A option to noitfy-send, then you can change the app name to anything. So anything. And now we can see this one says anything, but the other says noitfy-send. But all of them have dialog information as the icon name, because that's the default icon that it tries to display, or that it wants to display. You can also align the text here. Really simple, you just enter center and that will center everything. And you can also have it right aligned or left aligned. Let's leave it at left for now. Show age threshold. Yeah, whatever. Here, word wrap, this will wrap the text, and it will ellipsize the text if you add this. Ignore new lines. I think it's good to leave this at no, especially when you're doing the types of things that we are doing now. Stack duplicate. So if you get the exact same notification, they will like be stacked on each other. Hide duplicate count. Yeah. You get that. Show indicators for URLs and actions. We will look into this in a later video. And then we have this icon section, and then we have the history section here, and then you have some even more advanced options here. You can set a D menu path here, and you can set a browser path. Always run scripts. We will look into all of these advanced features in the next video, I think, or the one after that. Then there are some legacy stuff here that most people will never use. This is kind of cool. I never tried it because I don't have two different monitors with different resolution. But if you would have different DPI on two different monitors, then by enabling this, it might resize adjust the size of the notification to the DPI of the screen. So that's cool. But I never tried this, and it's experimental, so I can't vouch for it. Here you have shortcuts, as I showed you: Control Space, Control Shift Space, History, Control Grave. This one never works for me. but you can just change these key bindings to whatever. Context menu, this is how you execute actions or URLs in the, but as I said, we will look into that later. And down here, this is where you theme the notifications. And as you can see, there are 3 different urgency levels. And you can set the urgency. Let's open this guy again. You can see this and this with the U flag. And then we can set this to low, and we can set the next one to critical, I think it's called. And now you can see this has low urgency, so it gets these colors. And here is the urgent one. We can barely see it, but that have a red background color. So you can have 3 different types, and you can set the frame color also. Maybe there are even more options you can set. Yeah, you can have special icons for different urgency levels, and you can also set the timeout. So here, when it's critical, the timeout is 0, meaning that the message will stay until I close it, no matter what. And that can actually be useful. And then there is this scripting and rules section. Really quick, you can here you can use this app name, for example, by determining that this is this message comes from an app called Pidgin, and the summary text contains signed on. If that is true, then set the urgency to low. But you could also add stuff like a script here, and that would execute a script. So you can do really cool things with this, chaining programs together and using dunst here as the glue to find out here, for example, when my RSS reader here has finished updating. Now I haven't started it in a while, so there's a lot of feeds. I have probably 1,000 different feeds it's read from, so take some time, but then it will send a notification. I could see that it is from Newsboat here, for example, by using the app name, and then execute a script when it have finished the update here, whatever that would be. But it could also be download is complete from your torrent program or something, and then maybe you want to move that file or things like that. It's really powerful and cool. I don't know how much of this we will try out, but that is the whole dunstrc, and I think that will be the end of this video. The next video we will look into how to style it, because as I said, now I have just enabled and disabled and tried out different options here, and you can see the result is totally unusable. But in the next video I thought we would theme it and make it look good, adding and looking a bit out into how icons work, and also I wanted to follow the theme that I'm using. Right now I have the Dracula theme enabled, but if I would change theme to 80s, then I want the theme colors from the theme to also apply to dunst. And we will use Mondo for that, and that is what the next video will be about. And then the last, I think that it will be 3 videos in total. The last video we will create an animated notification, meaning it will be one notification that is persistent as long as it receives messages. So the example I want to create is a volume notification that displays the current volume as a bar that changes when you change the volume, and it will look like it's animated, and you can actually create simple animations with this. But that will be the goal of this Dunst series, and I think we need at least 2 more videos to get there. But I say thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so very much. We are already 600 subscribers. It's really cool. It makes me really happy that there are people who find use of my small explorations in the Linux system. Whatever. Have a great day. Bye bye.